I'm just excited for a home game, so
Yeah, I know.
we can go.
I think this is the very first two games, like last week and this week is our two farthest games of the whole season.
Get to do a little
I
later.
gotta be able to work.
Good. All right, let's take a look at this one. So we were working on simplifying all these things yesterday. So this example is really not anything different. We're still just simplifying, but we want to practice with this. So if you were to work this problem, where do you think you should start? Yes. We have to take care of this 1/2 on the outside. Now when you distribute it, it has to go to everything on the inside. So there's an x to the -2. This is like a y to the first. When you have a power to a power like that, what do you do with your exponents? Multiply. So -2 times 1/2 is -1. Y, 1 times 1/2 is 1/2. We're not done. Now we have two parentheses being multiplied together. Now when you multiply, order doesn't matter. So I can multiply the like things. We have two x's here. So if I want to combine those, what do you do with your exponents? Add them. Power to a power you multiply, but when the base is written each time, we add. So we have a 2/3 plus a -1. What does that give us? Okay, for my y's, this is a y to the first, so I have a 1 plus a 1/2. Remember, if you need a calculator, feel free to grab one. Okay, am I done? The only thing I would say, I told you yesterday, it wasn't proper notation to leave a variable in the denominator, or sorry, to leave, gave it away, to leave a negative in the exponent. So what does that -1/3 tell me? Yeah, we have to move it down. So we get y to the 3/2 over x to the 1/3. Let's look at B. We have a couple options for where to start. And let's talk first just about that negative. What would that negative do to the fraction? Okay. We can start just by distributing a -3 to everything and then dealing with the negatives. We could also, since the whole parentheses to a negative, if you have a fraction to a negative power, it just flips. So if you want to flip first and have a +3 out there, we can do that. If you want to just deal with the negative and take care of it later, we can do that. Doesn't matter. Which way do you want to go first?
Deal with it later.
Deal with it later? Okay. So this is like a 2 to the first. We have to distribute that exponent to everything. So for the 2, 1 times -3 is -3. For the x, 1/3 times -3 is -1. For the y, 2/3 times -3 -2. All right, the negative exponents mean change floors. So this 2 to the -3 would go down to the x to the -1 would drop down, and where's the y going to go? Last thing, we could just simplify. What is 2 to the 3rd power? So we get y squared over 8x. Let's look at C. So with this one, we have options. You can start by distributing everything, or we can start inside the parentheses trying to reduce a little bit. It doesn't matter. Which route do you guys want to take? Distribute. Okay. So this is a 1. Power to a power we multiply. So 1 times 1/2 is 1/2. 2 times 1/2 is 1. 1/3 times 1/2. Okay, we have to distribute it to the bottom as well. So for my x, 1/3 times 1/2 is 1/6. This is the y to the first, so 1 times 1/2 is 1/2. Okay, 9 to the 1/2. That's the same thing as saying the square root of 9. What is that? 3. I have x's on both the top and the bottom. So, look at your exponents. We have a 1 and a 1/6. Which is bigger? 1. So it'll go to the top. And then what do we do with those exponents? Subtract. So what's 1 minus 1/6? 5/6. Okay, for my y's, what's bigger? 1/6 or 1/2? 1/2. So it will end on the bottom. 1/2 minus 1/6. 1/3. Alright, what do we do first? Distribute. So in this first parenthesis, that's like an x to the second and a y to the first. Multiply. 2 times 1/3 is 2/3. For the y's, 1 times 1/3 is 1/3. For the second one, this is an x to the first. So 1 times 2/3 is 2/3. The y's, 2 times 2/3 is 4/3. And my bottom stays for a moment. X to the 2/3 and y to the 2/3. Okay. Next, on the top, if I have multiple x's being multiplied together, how do I combine those? Add the exponents. So for my x's, I have x to the 2/3 times x to the 2/3. So 2/3 plus 2/3, 4/3. For my y, 1/3 plus 4/3, 5/3. All right, so then if you're dividing, what do you do with your exponents? So, what's bigger, 4/3 or 2/3?
4/3.
So it's going to end on top. 4/3 minus 2/3 is 2/3. For my y's, what's bigger?
5/3.
So 5/3 minus 2/3 is 1. Now you don't have anything left on the denominator, so you could put a 1 underneath, or you can just drop your denominator altogether. X to the 2/3 y. What do I need to do here?
Distribute the m 2/3.
When I distribute that m, what am I doing with my exponents? Adding them. So, m 2/3 plus 7/3, 9/3, 9/3 is just 3, plus 2, m 2/3 plus 1/3 is just a 1. 3m to the third plus 2m. So these are just more problems using the rules of exponents. I just had uglier exponents. I had fractions. But don't let the fraction freak you out. You guys have a calculator. I'm not taking it away from you. So if that's the part that's really tripping you up, use your calculator. Okay, you're to that point in your math career. I'm not going to say what you can and cannot push buttons for on your calculator. So if that's what's getting you, use that calculator to help you. All right, are we okay with that one? We have also done a lot of factoring in here, so let's try factoring with some of these. So if I asked you to factor this, we know from experience that the first step to factoring is to look for a greatest common factor. So if I'm looking at this, let's talk about the coefficients first. 28 and 21. What? Yep, those are both divisible by 7, so I can take out a 7. With your y's, with the variable, we always take out the smallest exponent. What is smaller, -5 or -2? Okay. When you factor something out, remember that's just like dividing it. So those y's cancel. 28 divided by 7 is 4. So for this one, 21 divided by 7 is 3. For my y's, when we are dividing, what do we do with our exponents? Subtract. What's bigger, -2 or -5?
-2.
So it's going to end on the top. So you're doing -2 minus -5. That's 3. So it's a 3y to the third. If you do this factoring correct, all of the exponents inside your parentheses will be positive. The only place you'll see a negative exponent is out in front, the greatest common factor.
That's the answer, right?
Yep, I just asked for you to factor it, so that's it. We're going to do 2 together, and then I'm going to put some problems up here for you guys to try. A mixture of yesterday and today. So, what can we factor out of this one?
6.
6 for the coefficients. For my n, what's smaller, 4/3 or 1/3? So we'll take out 6n to the 1/3. Okay, factoring that out is like dividing it. So 18 divided by 6 is 3. With your n's, you subtract. 4/3 minus 1/3, 1. minus 12 divided by 6 is 2, and those ends cancel. So we just get 6 ends with the 1/3 times 3 ends. Let's do an ugly one. Okay. We have two terms. This is a term, and this is a term. They look very similar. What do they both have? X plus 3. That's what we're taking out. We take out the smaller power. So is negative 2/5 or positive 3/5 smaller? Okay. When I take that out, it's like dividing. So if it's the same thing I'm talking about and they cancel, and what does it become? Just a 1. Okay, here. When I factor that out, I'm subtracting. So 3/5 minus negative 2/5. 1. Okay, let's clean this up just a touch. There is a minus here, so we could distribute that. So we would have a negative x and a negative 3. Then if you had like terms, 1 plus negative 3 is a negative 2 plus negative x, so just minus x. Any questions for me? So I'm going to put some up here, and I want you guys to take a few minutes on your own. It's just a combination of the problems we've been doing. Do you guys have the first one written down at least? Scroll down. I'm gonna add a couple more. What does a negative exponent do? Flips it. So it becomes 100 over 121. And this is all to the 3/2. Now I know you can put that in your calculator. I'm going to talk about what it does though. A 3/2 means you have the square root of that cubed. So the square root of 100 is 10, and 10 to the 3rd is 1,000. On the bottom, the square root of 121 is 11, and 11 to the 3rd . Number 2. With those two exponents on top, what do we do with them? Power to power you multiply, so that's m to the 0 over 9m to the negative 3. Lots of ways you could think about it from here. One option, what is anything to the 0 power? So this is 1 over 9m to the negative 3. But I can't leave a negative exponent in my final answer. What does that negative 3 touch? Only the m. So the m moves up to the top. So you get m to the 3rd over 9. If you didn't get any of these, fix them as we go, please. Let's put the calculator down. All right, number 3. On the top, I have parentheses, but all of this stuff is just multiplied, and we can multiply in any order. So I can multiply these y's together. This is just a y to the 1st. So when you multiply, you add those exponents. So 1 plus 3 is 4. And so now we simplify. Negative 8 divided by 4. Do you have more x's on top or bottom? So if you subtract, 5 minus 1 is x to the 4th. I have y to the 4th on top and bottom, so what happens to those? So my answer is just negative 2 over x to the 4th.
How do you know when you're gonna multiply and add the exponents?
If the y is written each time. So if it's like this, you multiply. If it's a y squared times a y to the 3rd, then you add.
Oh, okay.
Okay, number 4. All of these are multiplied together. So what do you do with your exponents? Add them. So you should be writing this down if you didn't get it. 2/3 plus 1/3 plus negative 1/4. What does that give me? Add, not multiply. So 2/3 plus 1/3 is 1, plus negative 1/4 is 3/4. Just x is 3/4. Number 5, we have to distribute. So when I do that, what do I do with my exponents? If the p is written each time, we add the exponents. So 11/3 plus 4/5. That's 67 over 15?
Yep.
Okay, the same. Take it to this one. So that gives me a 9p 11/3 and 19/5.
7/4/15.
Thank you. And that's all you can do. Those p's are not like terms because the exponents are different, so we can't add. And last one, I asked you to multiply. Or sorry, to factor. So if I am factoring that, what can I take out with the 9 and the 3? Take out the smallest power, which is negative 5. So factoring out, that's like dividing it. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. I took out all those y's, so it's gone. Minus. This one, my 3's cancel. You subtract your exponents. What's negative 3 minus negative 5? Positive 2, so y squared. Any questions, sir? So you have the rest